Hi everyone, thanks for coming back to FemLogic AI. Today we're going to go over some real automation that you can use in your daily lives if you're a parent or you have a whole calendar list of sporting events, all kinds of things like that they give you a giant PDF file with 50 to 100 like dates on it, and you got to figure out either you're going to plug all these in or how are you going to manage all this stuff. So I'm going to show you how you can integrate all those things into your Google Calendar very, very quickly using ChatGPT. We're going to use Zapier and Google Sheets. And so as well as Google Calendar. So we're going to combine all those things. You could also use, I tend to use ChatGPT because this particular part does require ChatGPT 4, so the paid version. At the time of this video, it's $20 a month roughly. And so I think it's well worth it for things like this. If your kid plays sports or, like I said, you follow the NFL teams or, college football, trying to get all that stuff aligned is very challenging. So this is a way to do it very, very quickly. And so I'm going to show you that. So I hope you like it. You could also use Lambda to do things like this or Bard, but ChatGPT is my go-to for right now because it is the paid platform that I pay for, as well as Zapier. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is the PDF I got. So I got this off of the school calendar website. So for the interest of privacy, I just use Metro Public Schools. It is readily available, but I think most schools have some kind of sheet like this. I know my daughter's school does. They give us a list. I think if I counted right, there are 47 items on this list. That is a lot of items if you want to plug all those dates in. I used to spend a lot of time, at least an hour or so, like at the beginning of every year, trying to plug in all these dates, because as a working parent, it's just hard to keep up with all that. And so then you add in the sports calendar and all that stuff, and you're like, whoa, I'm spending 2 hours or more entering in dates. Well, we can do that much faster now with generative AI. So let me show you how to do that. So moving on, we are going to go over here to our ChatGPT. And the first thing we're going to have to do is enable plugins. So our ChatGPT plugins are what's going to allow us to use like these tools and go out to the internet. So ChatGPT 4 natively does not support the going out to the internet until you enable it. So let me show you how to do that. So what you're going to do first is go down to these little, what I call the little dot. You're going to open that, click settings. And it's going to go in here and it's going to say the beta features. You want to make sure that this plugins is toggled on. You don't need this advanced data analytics for this right now, just this plugins right here. And you can click to data controls and see the other things, but the only thing you really need right now is this plugins. So I'm going to do that. I already enabled it, and I'm going to click X. So that's green. So now you're going to see that this thing right here, and it says we have no plugins enabled. So for the purpose of this video, I did uninstall the ones that I'm going to use, or not the Zapier, but one of them so I could show you. So we want to make sure we can read a PDF because the document that we have is a link to a PDF that's on the public school website. And so you can, any link you have, or you can upload the PDF natively. But for this purposes, we're just going to link to it. So what you want to do is scroll down to the very bottom of your plugins. So important things to know about plugins are they are like your Chrome plugins, but you can only use 3 at a time. So you can download as many as you want, but you just enable the ones that you know you're going to use for that particular chat. Open a new chat, enable different ones, that's completely fine. But you can only use 3 at a time at the time of this video. So the ones I really like, of course, it pops up here, my AskYourPDF. So there's a lot of PDF readers. If you're searching for something, you can look in popular. Now, there is a disclaimer that pops up because this is a third-party app, just like with the Apple Store and Android Store and all that. You can put it out there. It doesn't mean that OpenAI has done any research on it, anything like that. I'm sure if they got it, enough complaints, they might take it down, but they allow people to publish their items here. So it may or may not work the way you want it to. So you kind of have to play around. So I played around with a few PDFs. And so I really like this Ask My PDF. So Ask Your PDF, sorry. I played around and I really like AskYourPDF. So I'm just going to click install right here, and there, we're done. It's all installed. When I wanted Zapier and some of the others, I would just type in Zap. Comes right up. You can uninstall, reinstall. Like I said, you can install as many as you want. You can just only use 3 at a time. So now that we've got that part out of the way, I'm going to close this out. And so then I come up here and I'm like, oh, look, I have one, and it's going to automatically enable it for me to start with. So I can say, do I want to use? And so I just use what I absolutely have to use, because I do feel like it slows it down slightly. Not a tremendous amount, we're talking 30 seconds. So it's significantly better than doing it manually. But I do like to just, if I'm not using it, just go ahead and just don't enable it. So you can play around with that plugin store. There are thousands of them out there. I haven't even scratched the surface on that, and I plan to do a video on that as well. So AskYourPDF. So then you're going to come over here and you're going to say, all right, what do you want to ask the PDF? So we want to both have it we want it to look at the PDF, and so we want it to break it into a format that we can use. So just like in our previous video, we want to show you that you're going to have to create a Google Sheet to store this information in. So what I did is I just created a very, very basic Google Sheet. I called it Google Calendar Updates. So for my own personal, you can bookmark it if you want. But I just have a title, a start date, an end date, and details, because that's what I want to put into the calendar invite. Now, if you want to put more information into the calendar invite, you can create more columns if your particular PDF has more information. The one that we looked at here, I'll go back to it real quick if I can get my mouse to work. Go back to it real quick. That only has like the date and the title. And so that's enough information for me. So I'm just going to go with that for now. I'm going to go back over here. So I'm going to leave this like this. One thing I don't know that I mentioned yet, but you do for this guy right here, the first column has to be the headers. So you want to make sure you list those out. This gray bar right here is where I froze the titles. So you can, click there, you can edit, you can freeze or unfreeze. So I just freeze the row 1. And by freezing row 1, that way if we have many, many, items, it does scroll and it's just easier to read that way. So, but you don't necessarily have to freeze the titles. I just like the way it looks. So we've got our school calendar update file here. We've got our trusty Google Calendar open here, and we're going to add some dates to it. So back over to ChatGPT, we're going to then go out and we're going to put in here, and we want to say, all right, I want you to make 3 columns, because that's what we have, or 4 columns. And we've got 4 columns in here. And so I want 4 columns, and if there's any details. Now, when I look back at our file here, we actually don't have the details thing. So I'm going to actually delete that for this particular demo. And so I realized that I probably should have done that before. But we've got 3 here. All right, so ChatGPT, we've got 4 items. All right, we make sure that we are in ChatGPT 4. We make sure that our AskPDF is enabled, and we have our file ready to go. Now, you don't have to keep it open, but I like to, just so I can flip back and forth really quickly. And so then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in, I'm going to say, read the PDF and provide me with the 3-column list, the title in column 1, the start date in column 2, and the end date in column 3. If there's no end date, I want you to put the start date in there, because what I'm doing is I'm formatting it for the Google Calendar placeholder there that we're going to create. So I've got my link here. It's the same one we were looking at, and I'm going to click go, and let's see what it comes up with. So come on, ChatGPT, let's see what you got. So it automatically, without me telling it to do it, goes out and says, all right, you've enabled that plugin. So you wanted to probably use this AskYourPDF. If you have multiple things created, like multiple plugins enabled, it will go through and it'll figure out the best one to use. All right, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Now, I do, by looking at this, and this was intentional, I wanted to show you, that comes up and I say, oh, well, I do need the year on there too, because otherwise, some of these dates are going to be very specific to 2023 or 2024. So I'm like, okay, well, it's pulling all that information in. And it's doing a really great job, right? Look at that. Yay. So as it pulls in all my information and all the dates for that were listed on this sheet, imagine how long that would have taken you. This is a huge time saver. And while you're only going to do this, you're probably not going to repeat this action, more than, once or twice a year to get your calendar updates. It is a very, very useful thing to do. So, all right, it says, all right, I got all my stuff there. And now I'm going to say, all right, well, that's great, but I want you to add let's say make all the date formats in month, day, and the 4-digit year. And so now it's going to go back and I'm going to say, I like what you did here. Everything's good, except that one thing. I want to make sure we get the year on there so that my calendar doesn't get confused. So there it goes. Look at that. Now it's reformatting my date into the way that the Google Sheet, the Google Calendar is going to want to consume it. So I'm like, look at that. All right. So we got all those things. Now, for the interest of just this demonstration, I'm not going to have it create every single one. I'm just going to do like first few of them. So I'm going to say, all right, let's do July. Actually, let's do Thanksgiving. Let's do, because I wanted to make sure you see that with winter break, it understood that it crossed over a year from 12/21 to 1/3, but on dates that were just with MLK Day, it says 1/15, and it just says 1/15. So it did exactly what I asked it to. So let's go in here and let's just pull in January of 2024. And let's see how we do. And it's still doing its thing, so it's really unhappy. All right, so this did an amazing job. It did exactly what I asked it to, and all my data is there. So let's pause this for a second and go back over to Zapier, where we are going to create a Zap that is going to, once we add the dates into our Google Sheet we've created, we're going to then go over here to the Zaps, and we want it to take an action on that. So before I add those calendar invites into that sheet, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new Zap. And so I do have one already created, but I'm going to go ahead and do it from scratch so that you guys can see how to do it. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, I want, and there's a couple of ways you can do this, but I'm going to show you the manual way first. So you can go in here and you can say, all right, this is my calendar update. I'm going to call it test. All right, calendar update test. Fortunately, there's no negative points for not spelling or capitalization correctly. So I'm going to do this really rough. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, so the first thing I want to happen is I want to go to my Google Sheet. And so I'm just going to type in Google Sheets. And so usually you don't have to type in too much. It comes up. And so for the Google Sheets, on the event, I want to, when a new or updated row is, I want to trigger. Because when I add those rows into my school calendar sheet, I want it to then create a calendar event in my Google Calendar so that I don't have to do that. So then I'm going to click continue. All right, I clicked continue. Again, my Google Sheet, since I've done Zapier before, it is already connecting to my account, but I could change that if I wanted to change it to a different one, connect to a new account there, and that's how you would do that. And I do walk through that in previous videos if you'd like to see that. I got it right there. That's where I want. So continue. And it says, what's the trigger? So, all right. And which spreadsheet? So what spreadsheet do I want to connect to? Well, I want to connect to my school calendar updates. All right. There you go. And then what worksheet do I want? Well, I didn't even rename this very much except for events. So I created an events tab on my Google Calendar spreadsheet. And if I go back to the Google Calendar spreadsheet, you can see events right there. Go back to my Zapier. So I'm going connecting to the spreadsheet and then the worksheet. I say any column because we just want to know if anytime one of these is updated, because we'd also want it to update if something changed, something happens, Snow days, they have to rearrange, you know how it goes. Click continue. All right, so now we're going to test this trigger. So you always have to test, like I said, you want all your check marks here to be green. Yay, it works. All right. So what it's doing here is it's saying, okay, yes, I can connect to that. We're good to go. It pulled the records. So we're going to say continue. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to say, okay, now that we have that data loaded into Zapier, what do we want to do with it? And we want to create a calendar event. So we're going to create a calendar event. And so this event, and we're going to have to choose, what do we want it to be? Do we want it to be, we can create a whole new calendar, we can create an event, we can delete. So I'm just going to, on this particular one, just create the event because this is like a one-time, like in theory, shot and update all that. So I'm going to create the event. I'm going to say connect. It's going to say choose your account. And I have multiple accounts here, but for this one, I'm just going to do my personal account so that I can just show you exactly what it's going to look like. I'm going to say continue. And it's going to say, what action do I want to take? And again, I have to choose my calendar. And I'm going to choose my personal calendar here. Our family coordinates our Google Calendar. We are a big fan of that process. All right, and so right here, you're going to say so we got this here. We're going to say, what is the summary of the event? What the summary means is what is the title? So what do you want the title to be? So when I click in that box, it automatically pulls down this information here that I pulled out. And so I want to say, what do I want? That. Sometimes you have to click on it a couple times because it's not always as friendly as it should be. All right, so click back in summary. There we go. And so when it pulls the summary, I want it to title. I want it to pull the title for this one, and I want the title of whatever the event is. And then in the description, if I had details, I would put that in there. But for this particular PDF, we just had the dates and the title. Now you could, if you had a more detailed information, like if you're playing a sport, you need to know what equipment or where the game is or things like that, you could easily put that in. So then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, all right, I don't need description or location. Those are just nice to haves, but I do need start date. That is required. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put start date, because we pulled that and we already told ChatGPT what that was to pull that out of the PDF. And I'm going to say end date, because again, we pulled that out of the PDF. And I'm going to say, okay, good job. I don't want these to repeat. This is just going to be a one-time zap that I'm going to run when I need it, and it's not going to be repetitive. Again, I do like to change the color, and I like my little purple color here so that I know that it's a new event and it was created by Zapier. So when my husband adds in events, like he's one color, I'm a different color, these are different colors, so that I can know where the context was if I need follow-up. And I can add in attendees if I want. So I can include other people's calendars or different things in there. So go through here. I don't need to update any other information. So I'm just going to click continue. And I'm going to test this step and I'm going to hope for a green check mark. Yay, green check mark. And then I'm going to go through here and I'm like, and we're done. So then I'm going to publish this guy. Well, we don't have any information in that calendar event. So right now, it's not going to create anything. Say your Zap is on. I'm just going to go to my Zaps. I don't want to transfer any data, but there we go. And so then I have my calendar update test, which I put in there. And so it last edited just now, but it hasn't run yet because it doesn't have any information in there. So now we're going to go back to ChatGPT. So now we have our Zap set up. It'll react the way we want it to when information is added. So we go, all right, back on ChatGPT. We're going to pull out some events here. And so just for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to copy straight like this. Now, if you were doing you wanted the full calendar, you would copy the entire thing and paste it in. But in the interest of time, because it will take a couple minutes to get all this in there, I'm just going to post it in there with the 2 for now. And so I'm going to save it, and that will trigger that action inside of Zapier. So Zapier is going to run in the background. It's going to then create, first thing it's going to do, since I already gave it the information, it's going to create my calendar invite there. And so it's just a calendar invite, nothing fancy. I can make edits to it, but it does put it on my calendar so that I don't have to deal with that anymore. And I don't have to deal with sitting there, spending countless hours typing all this in. And so it takes just about 2 minutes, and then we'll go over to our calendar and you will see. So we did February, so of 2024. Let's see what we have in February 2024. And one of the dates we had was the 13th. So let's make sure we're on the week of the 13th. So that would be the following week. And we'll give us just a second and those will load in there. All right, it's been a couple minutes, and so we're going to go back to our Google Calendar. And as you can see on the 13th, as we've said right here, we have the progress reports issued. So yay. Now, right now, this is just a reminder event, but in the details of the event inside the Zap, you can go back in here if that's not the way you want it to look. If you want to edit it, you can go and view an editor, and then you can fiddle around with it until you get it the way you want. Do you want a reminder on that? Do you want it to show as free space, busy space? All of those are things that you can manipulate in here. So you just click on the little edit guy there. And so then you can edit it, and then you can go in here and see all the things that are in there. Just edit whatever you like. So that in a nutshell is how you take a PDF document that whoever gives you the school of all the dates, sporting teams, board meetings, whatever it is, and then you can put it all into Zapier. All right, well, I hope you learned something today. We learned how to take a calendar that's in a PDF form or a linked calendar, pull that into our ChatGPT to format it the way we need to, then put that into a Google Sheet, and then go into Zapier and take that Google Sheet, connect to the Google Sheet, and every time something changes, tell Zapier to take an action of adding that to your calendar. So this is a huge time saver for me. When you trying to coordinate all the things, the sporting events, the the school schedule, dance, music lessons, all of the above. It's a wonderful tool. So you can play around with it how you want. If you have other applications, let me know. It could work well with, combining schedules and all that good stuff as well. So hope you enjoyed, and like and subscribe. We'll have more coming soon. I like to do practical things that you can really use to make your life better, so you can spend that time doing things that bring you joy. So thanks again, FemLogic AI. Have a great day.